PvP will without a doubt be one of the most important updates in TDX history. A PvP game mode will not only make TDX much more replayable, but also help maintain a higher player count during the time between major updates, allowing developers to spend more time making meaningful updates to the game rather than resorting to low-effort weekly updates as many modern Roblox games do. A successful PvP mode will be an absolute win-win for both players and developers, and will play a major role in TDX's long-term success. However, these benefits come with significant risks, as we've seen the consequences of poorly implemented PvP game modes, such as in TDS. While a mistake like this would not outright kill TDX, it would hurt the game's performance significantly in the long run and would require an extensive amount of effort to fix. So without further delay, let's dive into TDX's most important upcoming update. First off, to truly start discussing this, we need to ask the following question. What is the purpose of a PvP update in TDX? We can view this question through the lens of a developer and a player to understand the scope of what TDX is dealing with here. From a development perspective, the main objective is to make money. At the end of the day, TDX is a business, and all businesses strive to make money. However, thankfully, the main way TDX makes money is by actually making the game better. So if we want to simplify this a bit and cut money out of the equation, we can just say that the developers want to make the game better. Now, from a player's perspective, the main objective is to have fun. After all, why are you playing a game if you're not having fun in it, am I right?
Oh my god!
For a live service game like TDX, replayability is arguably the most important factor in how fun the game is, especially in the long term. With that in mind, it's clear that PvP inherently addresses this question, but there are further ways to improve this. For example, a rotating map pool will encourage more loadout variety, especially if features like water and line of sight are used effectively. Tower bans also add an extra layer of skill and can serve as a temporary fix for overly oppressive metas. My main point here is that there is a lot of potential for the PvP update to really improve TDX for the developers and make it more fun for the players. But with great potential comes great risks. And trust me, there are many ways this can go wrong. One of the biggest issues I see is balancing, specifically post-release balance patches. The truth is, PvP mode will never be balanced, as is the case with most competitive PvP games. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, as balance changes shift metas and do contribute a lot to replayability in that aspect. But this will only work if balance changes are frequent enough. PvP mode should have a balance patch at least once a month or two to keep the game fresh and fun. And given TDX's current track record for timeliness of balance changes, it's clear that they will need to step it up for PvP, as this mode will require more maintenance after release than other PvE modes. And that obligation will take a lot of effort and time. Now, everything I've discussed so far assumes PvP is actually successful on launch, which I'm obviously hoping for, but there are many factors that pose significant risks to whether PvP will be successful at all. First off is player conversion. PvE and PvP are two very different ways to play a game, and there will always be players who prefer one over the other. The initial release of PvP will need to convert a decent portion of the existing player base into PvP players before the game mode can build and sustain its own dedicated player base over time. Some players will be intrinsically motivated to play PvP, but additional extrinsic motivators will be needed to grow this game mode. The current method to address this, as listed on the roadmap, is a PvP shop, which I think is a great idea. I'm assuming that this shop will have products that can only be obtained exclusively from PvP, whether that be towers, power-ups, skins, etc. But it is important that these products aren't essential for PvE, so we don't force players to play PvP. Additionally, I think that winning PvP games constantly should be the #1 grinding method for gold or crystals, with the caveat that matchmaking is implemented properly, as this will make winning all the time completely unfeasible. Speaking of matchmaking, let's talk about that more. Proper matchmaking will be crucial to keeping PvP interesting and fun. Therefore, a proper rating system needs to be implemented, as well as countermeasures against tampering with said rating system, such as win trading. To maximize accessibility to PvP, there should also be two different modes, being quick play and ranked. Quick play should prioritize faster matchmaking, and be more lenient with skill rating differences, providing a more casual version of PvP that a wider audience can enjoy with the trade-off of having less fair matches. While ranked should prioritize fairer matchmaking, be stricter about skill rating differences, and provide a competitive experience for more hardcore players. Additionally, it is important that these rankings are reset on a somewhat frequent basis, like every 2 months, or have some type of decay to discourage players from avoiding competitive play to protect their ratings. Of course, the nature of a ranked mode will result in longer matchmaking times, and brings me to my biggest concern about PvP, the player count. Truly good matchmaking requires a very large number of concurrent players. I'm talking about around 50,000 concurrent players minimum. And these players must also be playing PvP and not PvE, so the number will likely be even higher for TDX. This is something the game does not have access to, and probably never will, but that doesn't mean PvP is doomed to fail. It just means the development team will have to choose between fairer matchmaking or quicker matchmaking instead of both, and frankly, I'm leaning towards quicker matchmaking. While TDX may never reach player counts high enough to achieve an ideal matchmaking system, more concurrent players will always help, which is why this next part of the video might get a little bit controversial, because I believe that PvP should be delayed, and not just by a month or so. I'm talking about potentially up to half a year. Yes, you heard that right. I don't think the current plan of releasing PvP in June will be enough time to create this properly, especially with the current state of the game. In my opinion, the easy and intermediate mode reworks should come before PvP, as well as major quality of life updates to the UI, ability management, and the overall player experience. Releasing PvP this soon feels like building upon an uneven foundation that could potentially hurt the game in the long run. I would even consider the possibility of releasing PvP after the Tower Battles Part 2 event, as this event should bring more PvP focused players in, and we've already established that higher concurrent player counts are extremely important for proper matchmaking. I would love to be proven wrong though, as just like you all, I am looking forward to playing PvP as soon as possible. But it is important to not let our short-term desires blind us from the long-term consequences. So in the off chance that PvP does get delayed, please don't be angry with the development team, as I promise you it will be worth it in the end. I'd love to see what you guys think about PvP, and I'll try to reply to as many comments as possible. Also, I'll be posting more frequently in this format, as these videos take far less time to make than my concept videos, and gives you all something to watch in between those projects, which are not going away, by the way. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you have any game suggestions for the background footage, Roblox or not, let me know in the comments. Bye bye.